Apple reached an all-time high today, and the stock price is not the only thing on fire. The popularity of the iPhone and the iPad simply doesn't seem to be losing steam. But is this Apple's best moment? As competing devices like the Android, which does offer more flexibility in many ways, come to market, will they overtake Apple? Joining us is Jon Rettinger, editor-in-chief of TechnoBuffalo, and Alex Spector, strategic analytics senior analyst. Good to have both of you with us. And if you could, Alex, start off by saying, giving the case for why others like Android could end up being the dominant players.
Well, I think it's just a numbers game, Aaron. If we look back at the smartphone market, Apple was the leading vendor to define the new smartphone user experience. But then device vendors using Android came in, and there were more device vendors, more devices on the market, and so they were quickly able to overtake Apple in terms of volume. So it'll be a similar story, I think, in tablets. Over time, it won't just be one device. It'll be multiple devices, multiple tablets running Android, and those will add up, and there will be more Android choices for consumers.
Okay, and I guess there's a point to be made there when you see a lot of people liking the smartphone Droid experience. What's your response, Jon? Do you think this is a real risk, or this time being the iPad, does Apple really have it locked up?
You know, those numbers and facts are a bit misleading. When the iPhone was released, it was released on just one carrier. If you look at Android, for example, you have multiple Android devices on multiple carriers. So it's the fact of multiple devices competing against one. Now with a device like the iPhone releasing on Verizon on the 10th, iPad, which Verizon is also committed to carrying, there's going to be much higher market penetration for the iPad, which already is experiencing upwards of 75% market share. Apple reported that they sold 14 million iPads compared to the 1 million Samsung Galaxy Tabs that were sold. Not to mention the biggest probably downside of the Google tablets is the Google fragmentation. In 2010 alone, Google released 3 different versions of the operating system. So from a developer standpoint, if you have to code for one vertically integrated device like the iPhone or the iPad, or you have to support multiple software upgrades on the Android side, I think the choice is going to be very clear.
Alex, what's your response to that? I mean, and do you think that Apple has made enough of a headway through the iPad, as just one example, that it's going to get in the corporate market? Because that would clearly help them, because people like to have, you know, the same thing at work as they do at home. It just makes it easier. You don't have to learn as many things. And Apple has been making headway, at least with the iPad, to corporate America. Absolutely.
I think that Apple over the past few years has made tons of headway in corporate. First, it started out with the iPhone, and more enterprises being more accepting of Apple, moving towards Android, moving towards the iPad. The BlackBerry Playbook is another competitive device that will potentially try to get into this enterprise space. As we know, BlackBerry is extremely popular with enterprise, and they'd like some of that volume and profit share as well. So that the Playbook will be another contender there as well.
Jon, what's your point of view in terms of pricing? Apple, you know, historically, and a lot of different products, not all of them, I guess, but a lot of them was able to charge a premium. Do you think they'll be able to do that? Because obviously, from a stock price perspective, even if they remain intensely popular, but have to do so by being more competitive on pricing, that could be a hit for shareholders.
Absolutely. Apple's pricing policy, I think, is speaking for itself when it comes to just number of units that are being moved. If you look at the biggest upcoming Android competitor, the Zoom, the rumored pricing is just about $800, which actually puts it about $80 higher than the highest priced iPad right now. And what we're talking about in terms of iPad is still, by all intents and purposes, almost last generation hardware. We are on the dawn of what's expected to be an iPad 2 announcement sometime in the next few months. So we may see a slight price drop, although I wouldn't count on it from Apple.
All right, Alex, Jon, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Good to have you back.
All right, and it's great to be back and good to see both of you again.